up in a household, broken household, where there was always fights between my parents. There was always fights where it was aggression. So this anger that I had led me to the streets, where in the sense of couldn't be happy at home, I thought I would be happy only with friends and friendships outside the house. So I started hanging out with older crowds. I started going out to partying. I started going out to clubs. And from there, I got involved into drugs, which is the first thing that came upon going and living this lifestyle. So I started off smoking weed, how everyone does. And from weed, I moved on to cocaine. And from cocaine, it moved on to crystal. And from crystal, it moved on to ecstasy. And from ecstasy, it moved on to heroin. This hatred that I still had towards my mother, towards my father, I would reflect it on them. I would try to fight my father, fist fight. I tried to kill him various times. The hatred would take over. I could not be at home. I was aggressive. I lost my job. I could not continue in school. I tried to, be successful, but the drugs was always in between. So because of that, I had to end up stealing people in the street, stealing cars, everything that we could get for just a couple bucks. All this just kept on getting worse and worse to the point where I left my house. I wouldn't live at home anymore, and then I ended up living in the streets. I used to go to the parks, and inside of me, it was something that I could not control. So it was every day, suffering every day, to the point where I thought there was no way out. I expected help from everybody, but when people would see me, friends, family that knew me, they saw how the drugs and the lifestyle I lived, how it consumed me, that they thought there was no way to help me. So I started being depressed. I started having thoughts of suicide. I tried to commit suicide through overdose. I tried to commit suicide drowning in the ocean. I tried different ways to try and end my life because I was thinking that was the way I was going to end the suffering. I got locked up various times in jail. I remember I had 2 felonies on me: assault with a deadly weapon, possession of a firearm, attempt to sell. And I spent various times, various nights in jail wishing that I would have succeeded in killing myself, or even, and someone killing me after a brawl or a fight in a bar or a club. So it just kept on getting worse until the point where my mother and my father were at the church, at the Universal Church, and they were praying for me. They would tell me, they would find me, and because they knew where I would hang out, they knew where my friends were, and they would tell me that they were praying for me. They would try and reach out to me to go to church. And I remember the last time that my parents spoke to me before I decided to accept help was I just got out of prison, and my mother and my father were there saying that they were praying for me, and they wanted me to come home at least for one day just to go to church. And so I thought, I'm gonna give it a try. I'm gonna go. And I went to the church, of course, not accepting help because I thought no one could help me, until the words of a man of God that was there that told me that nothing is possible without God. Those words, they got my attention so much that I thought, man, I try to be happy with drugs. I try to be happy with friends. I try to be happy with taking my own life. I try to be happy with women. I try to be happy in different areas, and nothing made me happy. And in those words just clicked. I thought that that's what was missing. I'm missing God in my life. And from there on, I started going to the Friday services. I started seeking my deliverance. I started going to the Sunday services and, seeking help to restore my life, to not just become who I was back then, before drugs, before anger and depression, but better than what I was before. And of course, the prayers of the family and everything else was what led me to want to completely be transformed. And from there, it just started. All the help that I wanted, I started accepting it. Everything that I truly needed was already there at the Universal Church, but I didn't know that. So I started being part of the youth group. I started receiving help with the men of God that were there, the assistants, the pastors, and everyone that was there ready to help out. I wanted to change so bad that I wanted to change, but not just for myself, but to help out others. because I remember the suffering it was to live in the streets, the suffering it was to be in a cell, the suffering it was to want to kill everyone, and depression was taking over. So I wanted to help others go out and speak about the gospel and speak about church and speak about my testimony to other people. And that inside of me, something was born. I wanted to help out more, so much that I know I needed the Holy Spirit. That was the only way I was able to help out other people, to be well myself. So I started seeking the Holy Spirit, started letting go of everything I needed to let go, just to be capable to help out other people. Now I'm a whole new person. I don't need drugs to be happy. I don't need to be surrounded by anyone to be happy. The relationship between my father and my mother and my family is completely different. I was able to be successful in life to the point where not only am I happily married, but my life is completely different than what it was before. That people in the street or people that knew me back then, they never thought that I could be who I am now, and they can't even recognize me. So it was a complete transformation, and I invite everyone who's watching this story to do the same, to try it out. You can't know if it works or not unless you try first. And I'm telling you by experience, the help I received was the best help that I couldn't find anywhere else. And I invite you all to come and participate in the Universal Church meetings.